get funky.
All right, welcome to Bizz, where we're all up in it. I'm your boy Daniels D Money up here in Simi Valley.
I'm Aaron down in SD.
Leyvan here from the Boogie Down.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, up in the Bronx, baby. The Bronx is in the house.
Uh-oh.
And welcome, man. It's good to see you. How you been?
I'm good. Hanging in there, man.
Yeah, because New York is, for a little while, New York was the hot spot. It was like, kind
New
of
York
ground
is
zero
always
again.
the hot spot, yo.
It
New
really
York.
is. It's always the hot spot. But I miss it, though. I miss my days living in New York. But today it's hot almost everywhere you go. I mean, we got the protests going on, and we got people marching. We're trying to, bring about social change to change social injustice and all that stuff. So I guess my topic question that I want to launch right now is, how do we know when racism ends? Like, how do we know when we've won? Leyvan, I'm gonna let you hit that first.
Wow. All right. Well, it's funny because just yesterday, Andrew Cuomo was on the news telling protesters that, all right, you can stop protesting. You won, because they passed this great Eric Garner bill against a ban against using chokeholds in New York City.
Right.
So to be honest, racism is so ingrained in the United States, in United States system and culture, that it's going to be real hard to tell. As somebody who studied or follows Rastafarianism, I know they've said, the best way to kill racism is to make sure there's no races, and that's to make sure everybody's mixed. And that's why.
Well, the world. I mean, I don't know who I've had this conversation with. I've had it with quite a few people. The world is progressively becoming brown, right?
Oh yeah.
So I read a stat. I think I read it maybe 10 years ago, and it could have changed by then. But it said by the year 2056 or something, the world is going to be 3/4 brown. And whether that's going to happen, I would actually think, based on the way the world is moving, we might even hit that mark quicker, because the world is changing. But do you think that's going to change all the races? I mean, because think about it. We have the people who are still living in this century, in this time, right now in 2020. They're only 3 or 4 generations, maybe 5 generations removed from, the people that were walking around when slavery ended 155 years ago, right? 155 years ago, that might have been their great-grandfather. And great-grandfather taught their grandfather, grandfather taught their father, and father taught them. These people are still walking around. So it's not out of any realm of possibility that those same racist ideals, those people are still walking around. So how do we know
I don't know
we've
that.
gotten all the racists?
I don't think you can really put your finger on it, because we're already cloning. Racist people are making racist babies, essentially. And that sounds crazy to say, but that's what's happening. I don't know that you can put your finger on it. You can't. We live in a country where you can tell your kid or teach your kid down is up and up is down, and it's not illegal to think down is up and up is down. It might not be smart, but it's not illegal. The same goes with hate. Now, I'm not promoting hate, but
It's not
you can
illegal.
teach your kid to hate. It's not illegal to hate. I hate that guy, or I hate that guy. It's not illegal to hate. So it's kind of like this battle that's going on where, yeah, it doesn't make sense to just walk around hating everybody, but you're allowed to hate. So I don't know that you can ever put a pinprint in it that it ended here.
We could. I mean, we could end racism right away, because I mean, racism is a human concept and construct.
Right.
There's one race. It's the human race. We're all human beings on this rock rotating, going around the sun. But that we needed this those colonizers at the time, when they needed this construct of race and what's good and bad, and had to make something. We can make these people slaves because they are this. So it's a human construct. So we can destroy that. Are we willing to? Obviously not, because here we are in 2020. and we're still, dealing with this stuff. We got people, I tell you, with everything going on, what's aggravated me the most is hearing the news report these things going on, and they make sure to say a black man and a white cop. That's not the case, right? That's what they'll put out there, but that's not the case. It's a person, it's a human being and a police officer, what it boils down to. But you have to make it a black man and a white cop, but the thing that makes it worse is that the story is never in the inverse. You never have. I only remember one story of a black cop accidentally killing a white person, and that was handled 1, 2, 3, and that cop is now in jail.
Right. No questions asked, right? Nobody's tripping.
But adding on to what Leyvan said, it also, you don't see, even though the numbers say that they kill more unarmed white people, it doesn't make the news at all.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing where you have these stats about the population of jails. Oh, there's more white people in jails. I mean, as of now, our country,
there's more white people in jail.
They're more. If you look at the numbers statistically, right, the number of white people, there's a lot of white people in jail, right, and there's a lot of black people in jail. And if you look at the whole numbers, there's more white people. But that's because there's more white people in the United States of America.
There's more of them.
Yes. And the same way with more cops killing white people. There's more opportunities because there's more of them. But to tell the truth, proportionately, when you look at when you dig into the statistics, right? Unarmed white men. I keep hearing about unarmed white men, more of them being killed by cops. And to be honest, this is the first time in all of this happening that I've started to hear that statistic thrown out there. More unarmed white men are killed by cops. I wouldn't be surprised if that was true.
It doesn't make the news.
It doesn't make the news. It doesn't make the news.
The news is very much about ratings.
It is. And I mean, and to speak to that very point about the ratings and things that don't make the news, I'm not saying George Floyd shouldn't have had a 4-hour funeral. That's not what I'm saying. But David Dorn, no one's talking about David Dorn, 30 years on the police force, went out to protect his friend's business. He got killed on camera. He didn't get killed by someone white.
Paying for the funeral.
Yeah, no celebrities paying for the funeral.
No celebrities paying for his funeral.
And he wasn't, and I will say, he wasn't killed by anyone white. It was a bunch of brothers that killed him, right? That's what the tape
This is in the middle but this is in the middle of the looting and the riots and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. This
David
is
Dorn
that cop.
Yeah, David Dorn.
He got killed doing his job, right?
Yeah,
no, he wasn't. He was doing his job. He's retired.
He wasn't even doing his job. He was retired. He just went down there to defend the shop of a friend, and he gets killed doing so. And 30 years, I don't know if he was decorated, but 30 years on the force. Brother goes down there to.
And did the police department even give him that? Did the police department even give him that acknowledgement? Because that's my problem with black police officers. Did the police department actually go out there the way they are right now in New York City, disgusted because we have this new ban and saying that we disrespect cops? Did the police department where was this Dorn in Minneapolis? Did the Minneapolis Police Department stand up for him and say, we need to respect him as much as we're respecting George Floyd? Because they talk about this brotherhood, and he was a cop. I mean, where was that? And
that's lost in the sauce.
He did.
He got lost in the sauce.
He got so lost in it.
I mean, because in this point in time, I don't have hatred for cops, but it's hard for me to get as riled up. George, and mind you, a lot of people have, and that's another thing that this has all aggravated me about. A lot of people have said, well, they need to stop the looting because it's not in the honor of George Floyd's memory. This has not been just about George Floyd.
Not at all. There's a whole laundry list. There's a whole list.
It's not been about Breonna Taylor. It's not been about the people who the police killed this year. It's not been about the ones who they killed last year. It's been about the fact that, hey, and people ask me why I didn't go out there and march. I was out there marching when it was Yusuf Hawkins. All right? I was marching when it was Howard Beach. When I wasn't there when Sharpton got stabbed, but I was in Manhattan marching for those cases. I
My
remember
man,
Eleanor Bumpers. I remember. Go ahead. I don't
me
want to.
and no. Me and you went to Philly and marched for Mumia Abu Jamal. I
So when
remember
it
that.
came time, it's like, for one, I'm Gen X. It's not my time to march. I marched and marched and marched, and still it's happening. So to be honest, what's happened in the past week with all the changes that they did pass, we're kind of it was kind of heartwarming to see, because it's really the type of change that all these years they've been marching and burning shit down for. They finally got that this week. I mean, they got Breonna's law, right? The in that
And
state where
that law changed like that because they knew
Like
they were wrong.
that.
Yeah.
They
yeah,
got
but
rid of
it didn't change like that. It changed like that this past week. This has
Yeah,
been
but
happening for years.
no, I understand that.
You
But
know?
No, I mean,
but my
since
point
that
is,
case, since
since
that
that
incident.
case, she got
Yeah.
killed in March, the law got changed like, 10 minutes later. And it usually doesn't change that quickly because they knew they were wrong. And I don't care about all the stuff they're saying about Breonna Taylor. None of that changes that she was killed,
In her home, yeah.
in her home.
In bed.
Yes,
Yeah.
her homicide is unjustified. So
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if we're going to end up answering that actual question. I mean, I guess we can sort of gauge on things getting better. There are still going to be shootings by the police department nationwide of all colors, because sometimes
it's the job.
It's
it
their
is
job.
the job.
Yeah.
So
It's the job.
and nobody talks about how that's a terrible part of your job, a possibility that you might have to pull your weapon.
What I'm really appreciating is this conversation about the defund conversation, right? Because the defund conversation, a lot of people are blowing it up to mean, oh, just dismantle police departments and just have it, crazy, everybody running around without any civil law, right? But that's not what it's about. It's really about taking those functions that police officers right now are doing and taking it away from them. Stop funding that, right? Like doing homeless outreach in New York City. Why do we have our police department doing homeless outreach? Their job is to confront when there's there's a situation that needs law enforcement, not deal with people who may be mentally unstable, right?
That's
Even,
someone else
and
who's
they're
got to put
even
that money there.
yeah, they're even talking about having cops not writing tickets, moving violations and parking tickets. Move the cops out of that business.
Yeah, we have we have meter maids. Ooh, I don't know if that's the official term, but we call them meter maids. I don't want to offend anybody, but
I think they're parking enforcement officers now.
Yeah, that's the
yeah. Exactly. Like I said,
about to start a whole new movement.
Somebody's gonna be mad, but that is separate. I do agree. I have seen they have vans now that are just homeless specific. They drive around the city, dealing with the homeless. Again, waste of money, or have somebody else do that. But it's.
Those are the conversations, right? Not the conversations about, oh, they're burning down buildings, right? Those are the conversations we should be having about, well, what is really wrong with what the police, and for me, it's really, there's been a systematic training, and we know it. Come on, they train the officers to feel that they're going out for war, right? They're going out into the jungle, right? And hey, you better make it back. And if you're going out into the streets with that kind of mentality, this type of stuff is always going to happen, right?
But don't we do that as civilians? If you're walking into a certain neighborhood, you might have your belt a little tighter, ready to go.
Right. You try to look as hard. You try to look as hard as you can while you're walking through it.
You know in Brooklyn where you can go and where you have to have your head on a swivel.
You know something though, but the way to make it, and early on I learned that the way to make it is not really those neighborhoods. Really, there is nothing. There are neighborhoods, yeah, where it's really like, oh, wild, wild west. Those are few and far between, And really, most people don't have any business in those neighborhoods. But the neighborhoods that they talk about that are really bad and everything, you go in there acting like, oh, they're gonna get you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's more it's more knowing, being more confident in yourself and knowing how to walk through those neighborhoods. I lived in this city my whole life, and I've lived in every borough. And there are very few places that I felt that I needed to act a certain way when I go out there. As long as I act like I know where I'm going.
Do you think citizens need to be a little better in terms of just how citizens carry themselves to keep it from, using your words, being the wild, wild west?
I think the police officers need better training. I think they really need to break down, really need to dig in and see how they're training these police officers, and actually really look at all the police departments throughout the country. Find which one is the best one. Find what's working, what are the best things that these police departments are doing, and then make something federal throughout the country that it's not all these little bits and pieces, New York PD. You know how many police departments we have in New York? We have the NYPD, then we have the school, even though they're part of the police department, they're officers, but they're school PD. We used to have the MTA PD, but they've gone into the NYPD. Then we have, and I'm sure California has the whole sheriff. You have the sheriff, you have that highway, you have state,
CHP, sheriff. Yeah, we got.
No. But my question was geared towards citizens. Do citizens need to carry themselves? And for me, growing up, you respect your elders or people of authority, your mayors, your police officers, just people in power, positions of power. And don't get me wrong, there's people with attitude everywhere.
Yeah, but something, I think those people in positions of power have lost the right to expect respect, right? I mean, those police officers that killed George Floyd, not the one with the knee on the neck, the other three, any one of them could have stopped it. And I give a damn about hierarchy and rookie and all that.
And the blue wall and all that.
I could give a damn. Any one of them could have stopped it. Right. And just that, the same way we expect our citizens to be more human and respect and everything, the police department has to show that same respect. And if they don't, and with the three of them doing what they did, they showed they have no respect for Black life. That video was all kind of triggers when that happened, especially with the I Can't Breathe part, being a New Yorker, because I was marching 5 years ago for that. All right. 5 years ago, I was screaming, I can't breathe. And then all of a sudden I seen this video, right? But the same way that citizens are expected to have that respect, and I think that we have that community and that respect, it's just that those people in power who expect us to just give it without having any kind of, with expecting that they're going to get it for nothing, they're the ones that are less deserving, and they don't get it. They don't get it. I have police officers out here in the Bronx that I can say what's up to. Not all of them.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. All right. I like that point of view. I mean, that's why we're here to discuss all that stuff on the Bizz, for real. All right. So, I mean, I guess, when's it going to end? When are we going to, because I think I gave the analogy earlier. When you go to high school, when you're in school, when you're in the school system, 12th grade, you graduate, that's the end. We're done, right? So, but with racism, are we ever going to have that clear-cut ending? When will we know it's, I don't know if we'll ever have that answer. I don't know if we'll have it in my lifetime, right? And if it's going to be in my life, they need to hurry up, because I think I'm like halfway there. I'm up there.
Well, right. we slipped up. What was it? 11 years ago, 12 years ago, when Barack Obama was elected, right? Because people thought that was the answer and racism was over, right? And we saw that wasn't the case. So I think I think it does a disservice to think that you could just say it's over, because when you think, because I was at that point when Barack Obama was elected where I was like, I am proud of this country for once in my life, right? Because it wasn't just black people who elected, it was the entire country, except for whoever didn't vote, but it was the entire country who elected this man, and I was proud of it. But they said, hey, we've gone to a post-racial America, and that just wasn't true. It just turned around and said, let's bring out everything that has been hiding for the past, 50 years since, the civil rights and all that. The last time everybody was marching, and if you get me started with that, man, we could talk another hour.
Right. Well, I mean, and you bring up 50 years, which really isn't a long time.
No, it was our parents were marching.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because my parents, my parents were born in the South in 1937. My dad and my mother, they both remember when you can't go into that bathroom. You have to go to this one. Right. My parents remember that, which is why they were so hard on us when we were growing up. Make sure you do better. You got to step up and, we could get into another 10 minutes, but
we've come a long way though, and that's the other thing. We get real frustrated that we're still marching for this shit, right? It's Emmett Till still, right?
Yeah.
And we get frustrated, but we've come a long way, because we did put a black man in the White House, but also, man, they're talking about police reform now. Before they were saying that we were making noise about nothing.
Right.
But they're actually talking about police reform now, which is
you still got
big deal.
You're right. It is, but we still got people talking about police brutality is a myth, but.
Yeah,
well, that's harder. I love Will Smith. He was like, it's not like it's happening more now. It's just that we all got cameras.
Yeah, we all got cameras, and everyone has one in their pocket. Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up for now, but just a good conversation. We always love it. For you people out there, if you like what you're hearing, give us the thumbs up. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button so we can keep bringing you this good content. Leyvan, you have an open invitation, bro. You know that. Whenever you want.
Yeah, just let me know anytime, man.
No,
I can run my mouth.
You let me know. You hit me up, right? You hit me up. Let me know. You want to get on? It's there. It is. Open invitation.
All good, man.
All right. So
been a good time, man.
I'm glad you had a good time. I'm signing out. Daniel's D Money up here in Simi Valley.
Hey, Ron, staying cool in SD.
Leyvan, keeping it high in the boogie down.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Till next time. We're out.